bones to meat. It is just that no one ever gives them meat. Dogs do not always prefer bones to meat. It is just that no one ever gives them meat. If the cockroach wants to rule over the chicken, it must hire the fox as bodyguard. If the cockroach wants to rule over the chicken, it must hire the fox as bodyguard. The moon moves slowly, but it crosses the town. The moon moves slowly, but it crosses the town. Good morning and welcome to African Cocktail on Africa Radio, and this is your girl Krista Beauty from the Krista Beauty Show.
And this is Ernest, Kanjo in Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to the 56th episode of Your Darling Show. Okay, good afternoon. If you are listening to us in Boya, that is in Cameroon, Central Africa, and if you are in Burkina Faso, we say good afternoon. Then, good afternoon to you listening to us in Ebolova, that is the south region of Cameroon, and to you listening in Kinshasa, that is in the DRC. We say good afternoon. Then good afternoon to you listening to us in Niamey, that is in Niger, and to you listening to us in Maryland, USA. We say good morning. Then good morning to you listening to us from Houston, Texas, and to you listening to us from Tibati, that is in the Adamawa region of Cameroon. We say good afternoon. Then good afternoon to you listening to us from Johannesburg, South Africa, and to you in Columbus, Ohio. We say good morning. What about you listening to us in Cairo, Egypt? We say good afternoon. Then to you listening to us in Juba, that is in south of Sudan, we say good afternoon. Then good morning to you listening to us from Las Vegas, and to you in Essen, Germany, we say guten Tag. What about you listening to us from Dodoma, Tanzania? We say good afternoon. Good afternoon to you listening to us from Luanda, that is in Angola, and to you in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea, we say good afternoon. Good afternoon to you in Lilongwe, Malawi, and to you in Lagos, Nigeria. Si vous êtes à Abidjan, en Côte d'Ivoire, on vous dit bon après-midi, et à vous qui m'écoutez depuis Paris, on vous dit bon après-midi. What about you listening to us in Tokyo, Japan? We say good evening, and to you in Mombasa, Kenya, we say good afternoon. Si vous êtes à Dakar, c'est-à-dire au Sénégal, on vous dit bon après-midi, and to you in Bulawayo, in Zimbabwe, we say good afternoon. Good morning to you listening to us in Las Vegas, and to you listening to us in Los Angeles, California, we say good morning. Good morning to you in Cleveland, Ohio. So whenever you get this voice at this hour on Wednesday, know that you're listening to African Cocktail. Welcome to the second edition of Your Darling Show for Phase 2 of 2014, which is of course the 56th episode since we started the show last year.
This is Africa Radio. Now, this is Africa Radio.
Okay, just like we say all the time, African Cocktail is that party on radio that brings you all the niceties of the beautiful African continent. So how much of Africa do you eat? How much of Africa do you wear? How much of African entertainment news do you get to serve? And most important, how much of African music do you listen to or dance to? These are the kind of questions we do well to answer on this show.
This is Africa Radio.
African Cocktail is a mixture of the best African values you can ever think of. And in this 56th episode of the show, we talk child education, fine arts, and of course the growth of the African television landscape with great strides made by entertainment shows. First, what is the future of school-going African children living in Germany? Does the education system of the country meet the needs of these children in a typical contemporary scene where global challenges arrive? What other ingredients can be added to this system to tailor it towards meeting such goals? This and more are the salient issues participants at a one-day panel discussion will be looking into. Placed under the theme Our Kids and Their Future, the panel discussion will take place this Saturday, July the 12th, and will be overseen by the Cameroonian ambassador to Germany, Jean-Marc Mpai. Its main organizer and initiator, Miranda Oben, a Germany-based Cameroonian software engineer who doubles as editor of SG Magazine, explains the raison d'etre of Saturday's panel discussion and where she intends to take this project on. Myra, as she is fondly called, will be speaking live from the German city of Essen, just right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail, so don't go away. From 35 in print to Rhythm of Life, renowned Cameroonian artist and painter Shiri Achu is set to quench the evergreen thirst for her works with a month-long exhibition that kicks off tomorrow. Rhythm of Life is a collection of some of her special works she thinks lovers of art should savor. The exhibition opens tomorrow in London with hundreds of visitors expected to the ground. On how prepared she is and what is going to make the exhibition unique, the artist joins us in this edition of African Cocktail. Shiri Achu will be speaking from her London abode just in this edition of African Cocktail. The good, the bad, the funny. Just the title of the show is enough to rip off your lungs with laughter. Yet its host, comedian Hansel Ngwane, says he still has much in store for fans. In this edition of African Cocktail, we go to Buea, Cameroon to find out how this initiative came about. And the online comedy show and its host will be featuring in this edition of African Cocktail, just like the Bell Bay TV show, and its host will be joining us in this edition to talk about the show and of course what her career has been so far. She will be speaking from Minnesota right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail. Then we shall also be receiving two movie stars, Nollywood's Perez Egbe in Texas and of course Joy Dominion. Okay, both of them will be speaking in this edition of African Cocktail. Just find out more about their careers just right ahead in this edition of the show, so don't go away.
This is Africa Radio.
Our regular slots, the Belgium report from Titus Bagnon and Solomon Atta's South Connect will be yours in this edition of African Cocktail. Meantime, I am in this sumptuous 1110 studio of Africa Radio, situated at the northern belt of the city of Columbus alone, but I have lots and lots of people speaking on this edition of the show, spread all over the globe. We shall be listening to them just right ahead. So, first things first, like we say all the time, we need to thank God for making this show happen every Wednesday. He is the Alpha, He is the Omega, and it is thanks to Him that this show has covered a great distance. And we must always take off time to say thank you, Lord, for everything. So wherever you are listening to us around the globe, just bow down your heads for a moment. Let's say thank you, God. And we are going to do that in a special way. Listen to this one titled Psalms 1 by Ruth Jigga. Father, we bless your name. Lord, thank you for this day and this opportunity to exhibit our great power. Father, we thank you for everything. We thank you for the wisdom, the energy, and the unending love you've always shown to us. Thank you most especially for bringing us on this platform once again, ladies and Father, so that we can help ourselves grow. Father, we bless your name. Bless every voice that will be heard on this show. And Father, we pray that at the end of it, we should be able to stand up and say that you did it again. Father, we pray that you soak this show in the precious blood of your Son, Jesus Christ. Through your Son, we have prayed. Amen.
He will be like a tree.
Okay, Ruth Mjika in that beautiful one titled Psalm 1 coming to you from Africa Radio. And of course, kicking off the 56th edition of your darling show that comes up every Wednesday. And of course, today is Wednesday, July the 9th, 2014. It's going to be another fantastic, vibrant edition of the show. Vibrant because we are going to have lots and lots of interesting people, talented people, skillful people speaking in this edition of the show. First, we shall move to Germany, where we shall meet Cameroonian-born software engineer Miranda Oben, who is organizing a panel discussion that takes place this Saturday, the 12th of July 2014, and which will be presided at by the Cameroonian ambassador to Germany, Jean-Marc Mpai. Miranda will be telling us just what she has off her sleeves. We hear she is trying to ensure that African kids living in Germany have the best of education. We're going to find out more about her in something like 13 minutes. Then we shall move over to Minnesota, where we'll meet young Cameroonian online TV show presenter, Belta, who will be telling us about the Bell Bay Show in this edition of African Cocktail. Then we shall also listen to Shiri Achu, Cameroonian artist and painter who is based in London and who is back with another exhibition, this time the Rhythm of Life exhibition. What the Rhythm of Life is all about is what Shiri will be telling us just right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail. Then our tentacles shall stretch. Our tentacles shall stretch and get to Boya, the headquarters of the southwest region of Cameroon, where comedian Hansel Ngwane will be telling us about the good, the bad, the funny show. Okay, then we shall also make a stopover in Maryland to meet Joy Dominion, a young up-and-coming actress who's just been nominated for the Afri-Fimo Awards. She'll be telling us about her career and just where she intends to take this career of hers to. Don't forget, we have our African Tele Review slot today. We announced last week that we are going to kick off with that slot in this edition of African Cocktail. It's going to be a very fantastic one, so don't just miss it. The Crystal Beauty of the Crystal Beauty Show will be joining me later on for that, just right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail. My name is Ernest Kanjo. 61497-5097 are the numbers to dial to get in touch with us if you intend to make your voice heard in this 56th episode of African Cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio. First things first, Telling Track. Telling Track is the first slot we have on this show. And like I announced last week, Telling Track is a slot that is intended to let you grasp the meaning, the crux of the matter as far as music is concerned. So you don't just listen, dance, and get entertained by music. We also want you to learn something from what you're listening to. So wherever you are listening to the show at this moment, I want you to sit down. You are not moving, you are not dancing, but just open your ears, wide open, and listen to the message in this song. Then at the end of it, if you feel that you are inspired or you've learned something or it has an impact on you, don't just hesitate to dial 61497-5097 and tell us. Okay, today we have Love and Unity for Africa, still by Prince Nico Balga.
Africa, my continent. Oh, I know biggest one be love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Because if you love your neighbor, you no go fit cause at all. You no go fit fight at all. You no go fit tell am lies. You no go fit kill am at all. You no go fit take him wife. You no go fit take her husband.
This is Africa
In
Radio.
fact, you no go fit do bad for person where you love. So African continent brothers and sisters.
African brothers, continent brothers and sisters, get unite.
Make we love ourselves and unite and do something good.
United Republic of Cameroon,
So African continent brothers and sisters.
Nigeria,
Make we love ourselves and unite and do something good.
Republic of Benin and Togo,
So African continent brothers and sisters.
Ghana and Guinea,
Make we love ourselves and unite and do something good.
Ivory Coast and Gambia,
So African continent brothers and sisters.
Sierra Leone, Africa,
Make we love ourselves and unite and do something good.
Africa, Africa,
So African continent brothers and sisters.
make we love ourselves and unite and do something good, Baba.
Make we love ourselves and unite and do something good. Africa. African continent must start.
This is Africa Radio. Now, this is Africa Radio.
Africa, my continent. Oh, hello. Plenty people they talk of African unity. Oh, but ladies and gentlemen, we are the talk same. Now love go come for before unity. Because if you don't love your neighbor, you not go get unite with them at all. At all. At all. According to me, I the talk say, all the law where God give us, the biggest one thing, love your neighbor as yourself. Love your neighbor as yourself. Because if you love your neighbor, you no go fit cause am at all. You no go fit fight am at all. You no go fit tell am lies. You no go fit kill am at all. You no go fit take him wife. You no go fit take her husband. In fact, you no go fit do bad for person where you love.
Africa, Africa,
Africa continent brothers and sisters.
African continent brothers and sisters, let unite and do something
Make we
good.
love ourselves, unite and do something good.
United Republic of Cameroon,
we lovers them are unite and do something good.
Ivory Coast and Gambia,
So African continent, brothers and sisters.
Sierra Leone,
When we lovers them are unite and do something good.
Gabon and Congo,
So African continent, brothers and sisters.
Zaire and Central Africa,
When we lovers them are unite and do something good.
Marabo and Kenya,
So African continent, brothers and sisters.
Tanzania and Uganda,
When we lovers them are unite and do something good.
Africa,
So African continent, brothers and sisters.
African brothers and sisters, let's unite and do something good in this
When
world.
we lovers them are unite and do something good. So African continent, brothers and sisters. When we lovers them are unite and do something good.
Okay, let's unite and do something good. I don't need to make any comments. Let's say no comments. Prince Nikombarga in that one titled Love and Unity for Africa. Well, I hope that something has sunk into your minds. If it has created an impact in you, if you think that what Nikombarga was telling you in that song makes sense, then don't hesitate. 614975097 are the numbers to dial to get in touch with us. This is African Cocktail. Now we're moving to Essen, Germany, where we will begin our conversations in this episode of African Cocktail with Miranda Oben. Miranda Oben is the initiator of our Kids and Their Future, which is a children's conference that will take place in Germany this Saturday. And like I said earlier on, it will be presided at by Cameroon's number one. The person who represents Cameroon in that country, his name is His Excellency Jean-Marc Mpai. We shall soon be going to Essen, Germany to meet Miranda Oben to tell us more about this great initiative. So, Miranda Oben lives and works in Germany as a software engineer. She is the editor of the SG magazine, like I said earlier on. But this time around, she will be in a different capacity as someone who promotes the education of children. So, the symposium takes place this Saturday, July the 12th, 2014. There will be panel discussions and lots more. Miranda joins us in a few seconds to tell us about this great event that is coming up in Germany. Okay, let's see what we have. A few seconds to 11. Probably we go to Essen, Germany to find out if Miranda is already on the line. If you are with us, Miranda, guten Tag und willkommen.
Dankeschön. Hallo zusammen.
So, how are you today, Miranda?
Oh, very fine. Thank you. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks. So, Miranda, we hear that Cameroonians living in Germany are bracing up for an event that takes place this weekend, and we hear it has to do with kids and their future. Miranda, first of all, when you say our kids, which kids are you talking about? African kids, Cameroonian kids? Tell us, please.
Well, actually, yes, they are. The Cameroonians in Germany are getting ready to meet in Essen to discuss with the children. That's the main thing, discussing with the children, having them on the panel. And when we talk about the children or the kids in this matter, we're talking about children with migrant backgrounds.
Right.
You know, they grow up with about 2 to 3 different cultures. It's probably not easy. Look, take our son, for instance. He's 2.5, and to be honest, when my husband and I look at him, we pray for his future every day. You know,
Right.
It's not, back then in Cameroon, we grew up with one structure, one background, one country. But right now, the kids are growing up with so many other nationalities around them. So preparing them for tomorrow, I believe, is really paramount. And it's just what you can give the child. It's not what you do for your children today, but what you have taught them, I believe, to do for themselves that will make them successful tomorrow.
Right. And I understand that one of the ways to prepare these children is via education, and you are very concerned about the kind of education they are going to have, or which they already have there in Germany. Now, I also understand that you'll be talking about the German education system and how it suits these children. Is there something which is lacking in this system which you think must be corrected to satisfy the needs of these kids who we're talking about?
Well, going to the first point you made, yes, education is very, very important. I mean, I can't stress this enough, and I'm someone who believes very much in giving them a good, solid foundation in that, making them believe in it. So I always go with the words of Nelson Mandela, who says education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. So with that in mind, and looking at the structure of the German system, it's not really like what is lacking, like you asked. It's more understanding the structure of the school system. You know, being in a new country, you go around learning new things, but it's only when you're confronted with your own kids that you start thinking, okay, if I understand the structure of the school system, I don't get a chance to make mistakes for my children. So, well, let me throw a little light on this. It actually goes with three main outcomes or tracks for students. It's just the complexity a little bit of the system when you don't know it from the beginning. You have like the apprenticeship, which is called in German the Berufsschule. This one leads to something like a blue-collar employment. Then you got the Realschule, that leads to, you look at it like white-collar or salaried employment, you know, something like a salesperson. And then you have the gymnasium, which is the best for the best students, which is followed by university studies and then professional employment. And yeah, in general, in Germany, I would say I'm impressed with the educational system, as in it always produces very highly trained individuals. But then it's just having each person fall in the right group. If, for instance, you have kids who are not allowed to go to the gymnasium, like you would hear sometimes when they tell them they're not so good, they would put them in the Realschule. So that's just to give you a little idea of what it looks like. So once more, the Berufsschule or the apprenticeship gives you skills like craftsman. The Realschule, you can become like a salesperson. You know, you go to the 10th grade and you become a salesperson. And then the gymnasium, you go now to university, become whatever, engineers, pilots, dentists, and so on. You know, you graduate with the GCA levels would be something like the Abitur in German. So you graduate now from the gymnasium with the Abitur, and then, you know, you go on to work then, like I explained. But the main disadvantage I see in the system is just that it's so rigid. It's so rigid. So if you take one path, it's hard to change your mind and then jump on to the next one. So the parents need to be careful into guiding the children to follow the right path. That's why we're having professional experts coming on Saturday to answer questions from the parents as well, and then discuss, share experiences in this event.
Yeah, it's so rigid, the education system in Germany, you say, Miranda. How has this affected African children adversely?
Oh yeah, how would you want to know that? You know, if you came here and you went to school and they told you, you know what, your kid is going to go to the Realschule. What I always joke about is when you hear Realschule, it sounds like a real school. So you're thinking, oh, that's amazing. But no, the moment you accept that your child should go to the Realschule, he or she doesn't have a chance later on to switch and go to the gymnasium where he'll graduate, go to university, and become what you want him to be if he's really that bright kid. But what actually happens is, some parents have fallen into the trap of, it's unfortunate, I would say it's a coincidence, in quote, that the African children, as you ask especially, get shifted to go either to the Realschule or Berufsschule, whereas you would see those kids are really bright. So it's some little selection which I don't like personally, and which many parents, if you don't know, will have your kid pushed into a lower category of what he can do. And that's, I know Cameroonians are very bright and we've got really highly trained professionals here, but it's just that it affects African children in the fact that if you don't know about it, you end up seeing your kid land where you don't want them to be. You know, so in Germany, when the authorities pre-select your child like that, you would be able to fight. I know parents who have been able to fight back and prove that their children are really good and then go to the gymnasium, which is where you want your child to study. You know, another disadvantage now is some people have struggled, and whenever it didn't work, they have to send their kids back home to either Lourdes or Sacred Heart and so on to continue their education. So that's mainly where I see it affecting the kids, just that lack of knowledge, you know. When you can't fight the system, you don't even know the problems, then you end up having your child's future not as bright as you would have had. So that's actually the disadvantages
so
for the African children.
So to redress all of this, Miranda, you are initiating a children's conference that will bring on board some experts to see how they can chart a way forward. How exactly is this conference going to look like? What are the things you are going to be putting on?
Well, I like that question. That's a very good question because, first of all, having an idea is one thing, right? And implementing it is a totally different issue. When I got the ideas, because when I asked a couple of parents, and I was worried myself, my husband is worried, we're worried about our kid, about what they think about their children's future, I realized I'm talking to the parents. But then you have kids here who are already teenagers, and we have actually 2 graduates this weekend who are 18. They're the first generation of migrants here. So the structure we put in place is get some alumni associations from who are here in Germany, like I mentioned, maybe the PEMEXANs, the ex-students from PSS Manchester, and then the groups we had at the university, so that we have children who can go to secondary school in Cameroon. The parents can ask the Shessans or Lessons or PEMEXANs who are out here, or just normal schools in Cameroon, what advice they could have. And then you have groups which are formed at the university level. They can talk now to these kids who will soon be in the university. Right. And then you have now groups like the engineers, the groups of engineers who are also invited to talk to the kids, who can later on join them, just so they see we do have role models in our society. But the main structure we're going to follow is we'll have, which is very important, a children's conference. You have 6 kids, 6 teenagers, the ages of 18, 16, 15, and 14, and another 14. And they'll be sitting on a panel with His Excellency Ambassador Jean-Marc Pai, and discussing about their future, what challenges they face, the opportunities they see, being here, if they see role models in the society as well, and then understanding the structure of the German school system, all around that, where your kid would really fit in. That's what we'll be discussing. The possibilities, of course, like I've mentioned, of sending the kids back home in Cameroon. And for the first time in Germany, which is really great, we're having an open session at the end of the event where parents get a chance to ask the ambassador a main issue which is at heart, which is the dual nationality. Here in Germany, you're either Cameroonian or German. Give up your passport. So you have to. So if you say you're German, we want to see how we can discuss that with the ambassador. So it's a really strong point. And we have guests like Dr. Stefan Liebing, representative of the Africa Verein, who represents 54 countries in Africa, and my humble self, of course. We plan to sign certificates of participation, which will, at the end of the event, hand to these kids. They can start putting in their folders and, using them for the future, for the professional life, the careers later on. So that's just roundabout how we'll be having the event on Saturday. And then parents now will wrap up the session by sharing personal experiences and best practices of what to do.
Right. Miranda, apart from just having the ambassador chair the event, what is the role of the Cameroonian diplomatic mission in Germany in this genuine cause you are putting up?
Thanks. Really, a genuine cause, because everyone who knows me knows my weakness for kids. Everybody loves it when Auntie Mira is around because she's just going to spoil them. I've always had a soft spot for kids, so it's normal that my vision comes like this. And the interesting thing, and a really good question you've just asked there, is this idea or this vision was born during an interview I had with His Excellency in Berlin, something at the end of March. And, in my hobby as a moderator, I usually do that, interview some well-placed people just to promote ourselves, because I believe in like Chimamanda says, you should not always leave it a one-side story. Let's tell our own story ourselves, and that's what we're doing. So I'm interviewing these people so they can speak for us. And during that interview with His Excellency, it struck me that I keep on asking the parents what they think about the kids' future. And the ambassador is well referred here in Germany as, they call him Papa, actually, here by Cameroonians in the diaspora. They refer to him as Papa. So first of all, he's coming in his role as a parent to us, and then when he heard the idea of, I asked him in a live interview, would he support an idea where the conference now is a child's conference and children's conference, and he immediately said yes. Was so willing to join it. Yes, he said he loves the vision. He's had different conferences all over Germany because he travels a lot in the country, but this would be something so innovative that he is coming as a father, and then the diplomatic corps, since he believes in the course of giving now a solid foundation to his children, as an ambassador, it just plays a double role. So that's why the diplomatic corps is actually going to be present. And I'm highly honored. I mean, how many events go on out here and you don't have the ambassador show up?
Right.
I'm really glad. We're glad.
So, Myra, a lot of things will be said at the event, and a lot of resolutions will be arrived at. Then you'll be faced with the implementation phase. Do you have the capacity, the resources to be able to ensure implementation of the decisions you are going to arrive at this conference? Hello? Okay, unfortunately, we lost our guest in Germany there. We were about to run off our conversation with her. Her name is Miranda Oben. She is the initiator of a children's conference that will take place this weekend in Germany, aimed at improving the educational system to suit the needs of African children living in Germany. Okay, if we are lucky, Myra will definitely come back to run off this conversation. If not, then we're going to continue with the 56th episode of African Cocktail, coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest Kanjo this day, July the 9th, 2014. Okay, let's see what we have. Myra is probably back on the air. Okay, Myra, we are sorry we lost you. If you are back, let's know.
Yes, I am. Sorry. Traveling across the ocean, the sound waves somehow let us go. But I didn't quite catch your last question, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that.
So we were about to run off this discussion, and I was saying that lots and lots of things will be said at the conference. Then you will arrive at many decisions as well. So do you have the capacity and resources necessary to ensure implementation of the decisions you are going to arrive at?
Oh, yeah, actually, sure. We do have the capacity to do this, and this is just the first event. We're not trying to look too far ahead. We're looking at how it's going to be on Saturday, and then build on that. We do have the team in place, ready for any eventual implementation that could take place. But I believe the more success stories we hear, the more we see that, working and believing in such a cause, and the people hear how well the students of African background or any other migrant backgrounds are performing in school, they'll start believing what we're saying. You don't need to push us to Real Schuler. We are good enough for the gymnasium. We are good enough to study, go to university, become engineers and pilots and all whatnot. Yeah. So I do have the capacity for that, yeah.
All right, Myra, we are about to run off this conversation. Definitely there are people who are listening to you and would want to stop by on Saturday and share their own ideas and make contributions. So could you just remind us of the venue, the time, the date, and maybe what you expect from the general public?
Oh, yeah. Well, before I start with that, we're going to wrap up that event, actually, because I've had a lot of help from the African Ivory Foundation. I might say that the founder, Naketa Delphine, and that day we'll be inaugurating the African Ivory Foundation Center in Essen, so that's something you won't want to miss. And I've had a lot of positive response from the other groups and organizations. So what I actually expect of the public is attendance.
Right.
Come understanding the purpose of this vision of giving a very solid base for our kids through the parents, listening to these children, making them more self-confident and believing in their capabilities and, kind of like being able to stand up and follow their dreams. So the venue is going to be the Adel Camp Strasse 61 in Essen. That's 45147 in Essen, and it's going to start at 2 p.m. prompt, like really in that time, and it will carry on till 7 p.m. And I believe the vision of it, which is being carried on, bringing our children together, working together, which is very important. Unity is strength. I heard your song there with Prince Nico at the beginning, singing about unity. So actually, I just believe if one person can inspire the next to be the best, then we can be sure that we'll definitely have a great community and bring the change we want to see. So I basically would end by saying, everybody can be an inspiration to the person next to them. Yeah.
Myra, we thank you so much for stopping by and telling us about this very important event that concerns our children.
I was glad to be invited. Thank you.
Okay, Myra, do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in Essen, and we hope to have you some other time on this show. So, join Myra Saturday, July the 12th, 2014 in Essen, and share in this great vision. Okay, this is African Cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest Kanjo. It's exactly 16 minutes past 11. And lots and lots of interesting items still coming up. Remember that we are going to kick off African Tele Review, a new slot we have on this show. So don't go away. You're going to discover something really, really interesting.
This is Africa Radio, #1 radio in Columbus, Ohio.
A legend. His name is Elvis Kemayo Mbao de la musique camerounaise. In that beautiful one titled African Music, African Cocktail, coming to you from Africa region.
Debout, debout, dansez, yeah. Dansez, African music.
African Music by Elvis Kemayo, reaching you from Africa Radio. And of course, we're broadcasting from Columbus, the chief city of the state of Ohio, here in the United States of America. I want to say good afternoon to all my friends listening to me in Douala, Cameroon. I'm also thinking of those ones in Conakry, that is in Guinea. We are in West Africa. Then I'm also thinking of my friends in Essen, where the experts are going to converge this Saturday to see how they can have African children have the best of education. We just listened to the initiator of a kids conference that takes place to that effect. Her name, Miranda Oben. African Cocktail is coming to you from Africa Radio. 18 minutes past 11. In something like 5 minutes, we shall be moving to Minnesota to meet our next guest in this edition of African Cocktail. So don't go away. Just enjoy this one. African music. Elvis Kemayo.
Allez danser en Afrique, en Côte d'Ivoire, au Sénégal, au Togo, au Bénin, en Haute-Volta, danser African music.
Our regular correspondents will be on in this edition of African Cocktail. We shall be going to Johannesburg or Cape Town to meet Solomon Atta in his South Connect slot. Then we shall move over to Belgium, where Titus Banyo is on standby to give us updates on happenings in that part of Europe and of course that part of the world. Don't also forget that we are going to make a Central African stopover with our correspondent in Douala, Cameroon. We have two correspondents now. There is JJ Sham, and of course there is Ifana Kuala, who will be joining the team in this edition of African Cocktail. So don't go away. In 4 minutes we shall be moving to Minnesota to meet the next guest in this episode of African Cocktail. 61497-5097 and the number to dial to get in touch with us if you want to make your voice heard in this edition of the show. Meantime, Enjoy this one by Elvis Kimayo, Africa Music. La maestro de la musique camerounaise. I take you years back. Music of the yesteryears. Music that still sounds good in the ears. And of course, I always go for music that is timeless and universal. Africa Music by Elvis Kimayo, coming to you from Africa Radio. And of course, the show is African Cocktail with Ernest Kanjo, 61497 5097. Okay, let's ride on. Okay, she's young yet so ingenious, so talented, so skillful, and of course so motivational when she talks. Her name is Belta Anjaga. Belta Anjaga is a host of an online TV show. They call it the Bell Bay Show. Belta is the next guest in this edition of African Cocktail. Discover a great young person who has a great mind, who is so young, but then when she speaks, you think that an adult with lots and lots of wisdom has spoken. Her name is Belta. You'll be meeting her just right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail. But for now, enjoy this beautiful one by Elvis Kimayo, Africa Music, music of the yesteryears. Memory Lane.
Moya oh, moya oh, moya oh, moya oh. J'envoyais Kofi dit je partis pas. J'envoyais Conan dit je partis pas. J'envoyais Kwaku dit je partis pas.
Okay, we're going to move from Elvis Kimayo to yet another legendary Cameroonian artist. His name is Edgar Yonke, and we're going to get into Edgar's archives and pick out this one titled Vantardis. It's a track that was released in the 90s, but then it still makes sense to me. Okay, listen to this one by Edgar Yonke.
This is Africa Radio, #1 radio in Columbus, Ohio. This is Africa Radio, #1 radio in Columbus, Ohio.
Même l'argent, ma source de problème, mon maman. L'argent, ma source de problème, mon maman. Maman, qu'aujourd'hui, qu'on l'aime, maman, même l'argent, ma source de problème. Maman, qu'aujourd'hui, qu'on l'aime, maman, même l'amour, ma source de souci. Mais je me lève, même l'argent, ma source de problème, mon maman.
what's happening on African entertainment television. African Tele Review brings you more on some of the most captivating African TV shows. African Tele Review, visualizing African television and radio.
Okay, like I said, we have young but talented Belta Anjaga, host of an online TV show known as Bell Bay Show. She is making a stop by on Africa Radio today, and of course African Cocktail, to tell us about this great initiative which is making great strides. Let's get into her garden and discover what this young Cameroonian is made of. Okay, just right ahead, ladies and gentlemen, we shall be moving to Minnesota to meet our next guest in this edition of African Cocktail. But before we receive Belta Anjaga, listen to this.
Good morning, people, and welcome to Straight Talk with Belle. This is a forum for us to talk about the things that daily affect us in our lives, whatever it is. Just give Belle a shout out, and I hope we do have fun as we express ourselves on here and try to understand how to shape our futures, how to change our futures.
And I know that you love me too. And we know that this love was meant to be forever. This is heaven's made. Yes, girl. See, they can say what I want, no say. Say they can't even do what they want, no do. But you and I are meant to be forever. Till death do us part. Some people think I'm foolish, loving you, my baby. Even my friends also think that I am crazy. Could not understand that the kind of love would...
Hello, Straight Talkers. Welcome to yet another episode with Belle. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. I mean, if it's sunny in Minnesota, it's going to be sunny everywhere. I just have a quick message to drop by everyone today, and I hope you like it. Well,
okay, definitely we like that, and that is the Bell Bay Show, whose host we shall be receiving in a couple of seconds in this 56th episode of African Cocktail. Okay, on Africa Radio. Let's go to Minnesota and find out if Belta Anjaga is already with us this morning. And we also have Crystal Beauty in Boston, Massachusetts, who will be running this conversation with me. Belle, are you there? Good morning. Good morning, Belle. Okay, we're definitely going to come back to her. We have some difficulties getting to Boston. We'll be right back with you. Okay, we have indications that Belta Anjaga of the Bell Bear Show is already with us. She's talking from Minnesota this morning. Let's know if you are there, Belta. Good morning and welcome to African Cocktail.
Good morning, Ernest. Thank you. I'm here.
Okay, Crystal Beauty is in Boston. Crystal, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so like I said, the Bell Bay Show is an up-and-coming online TV show that is already gathering a lot of impact and, of course, viewers and fans. We're going to know much about that when we would have rounded off this conversation with the host of that show, Belta and Jaga, whom we are welcoming in this edition of African Cocktail. So, Belta, first things first, tell us briefly how the Bell Bay Show is doing.
So far, the Bell Bay Show is doing really great. It's getting a lot of good feedback. So I'm pretty excited.
She's pretty excited.
So tell us, Bill, this show is relatively new, but it has been getting a lot of attention. So can you tell us when precisely you started doing it?
This show is broadly made out of videos that I had recorded over time and just put on hold. So one of my friends ran into them on my Google Share, and he decided to start posting them. So he started posting not too long ago, a couple of months ago actually, like 7 months. But those are all videos that I had recorded maybe a year before, 2 years before.
Right. Bell, I can always be caught watching online TV shows, but I must say that yours is unique. Could you just explain the concept of the Bell Bay Show and tell us what motivated you to conceive it?
The Bell Bay Show is mostly about the things that I see around me, things that happen around us as young people growing up, and you know, it's mostly about how to inspire young people and how to encourage, especially our young Africans who have come into America, Britain, Canada, wherever they are, you know, trying to seize those opportunities that are out there. That's the main backbone of the Bell Bay Show.
So how regular do you produce this show?
We started out at a video in 2 weeks, but right now we are at putting up one video a month, just because all my taped videos are running out. So until I start reproducing, we're going to be doing one a month.
Once a month. That's good. So one of the strong points of the Bell Bay Show is its ability, or the ability of the host to sustain a well-organized and coordinated monologue. Bell, tell us, where is this skill coming from?
I grew up in a little community in Cameroon, and growing up there, I was the kid who was always referred to as, you know, the kid who's older than her age, who likes hanging out with older people. I always had the ability to have, you know, conversations, mature conversations with people who were way above my age or my class, and I guess it's just kind of a thing that's in me. You know, communication is my strong suit, and sustaining or starting a conversation has really never been a problem for me.
Right.
And I guess that feeds into the Bell Bay Show, and I'm glad everyone recognizes and appreciates that.
Okay. So I was actually going through some of the episodes you've already put online, and I was wondering if you could shine some more light on some of them. Okay? So the episodes would be the one that you talked about, the DV lottery. So what brought about the American DV lottery episode, winners episode?
That came from the fact that most of us Africans, when we, you know, most of us come here through the American DV lottery. It's like a wonderful opportunity to go start again in another land, you know, not having to go there illegally, not having to, you know, go there and have to sneak around. It's literally, you know, like a one-way visa to go start a new life. But so many people misuse that. You know, when you get that, you suddenly feel like all your problems are solved. It's just, you're supposed to, when you get that, feel like, you know, I have a chance to solve my problems. But so many people get that and feel like, oh, my problem's already solved. So looking at that, you know, with my own experience that I had when I came here and what I see everyone else go through, I thought maybe putting that out there, will help those who won for maybe this season, for them to understand that, you've just gotten a visa to make your life better. You've not gotten, a visa to a better life until you make it. So that's where that came first.
Just like Crystal Belta, I've been watching keenly, and this one has also caught my attention. Living with a spouse. What are you telling us in that episode?
On the episode of Living with a Spouse, that's coming from, for most of you who are here, I'm sure you've realized this trend where before, a lady gets married, before a young girl winds up married, they have lived with so many people in the past. I went to my sociology class, right before I put up that episode, and the teacher was talking about that, and they said people living together, there's actually getting to be a larger population of, two consenting adults living together now than there is actual married people. So it's kind of like an excuse. You like someone, you want to go stay with them, but you don't want to do the right thing. You don't want to get married because you will take it as an opportunity to study each other before you get married, and that's been happening a lot lately, and I see so many people get hurt from that. I mean, of course, there is the
right.
population that has it good from that, which is usually the population that ends up married, but it's a very lesser part of that population that winds up married. So thinking about that, and looking at the fact that this is America, and here things are hard. Sometimes you need to lean on someone. So it's justifiable that people who are in love at the moment who want to do that. But, as I said on that episode, how about, come together with that person and let it be like, not like we are married, so you start making babies from a relationship that's not really recognized, and soon one person is really stranded. How about come together, as two friends and raise some money and maybe split the rent and just be like roommates until you do the right thing and decide, we should go get married before you start making kids from a union that, has not really been united. That's where that's at.
Right.
That's how it's generated.
That's interesting. So in one of the editions, you are asking your audience if they are stressed. So what makes this a salient topic?
That, I think, was one of the first videos that I actually put out, and that did get a lot of attention, and I got a lot of feedback from that. But I stressed the topic itself. I was putting it, bringing it from my point of view. At that time, I was really going through a lot. And as you all know, this country can throw a lot on your plate sometimes. It's, you wake up one morning and you're stepping out the door, you run into the bills, you run into, maybe you have a flat tire, maybe there's maybe yelling in the next apartment, it's a lot. So you're getting out one morning, you can't just, wake up and have what you plan. So every day you have to constantly be making changes. And in America, there's it's very normal for people to go seek therapy for this kind of stress. Especially for those of us Africans who move over to America, we do not think yet that we can go seek this kind of counsel and not end up being judged by our peers or by our fellow Africans as maybe crazy or something. So I use stress. It was really, from my point of view, a really pressing issue at the time. Like, some of us are so stressed, we don't understand what we're doing. So we just keep doing, we don't think. Sometimes we end up doing the very wrong things because we are so stressed. We can't think straight and we can't complain because of our culture. So I'm trying to, let it out there that it's okay to be stressed. We all are stressed. There's a problem shared, there's a problem half solved. If you're all stressed, if you don't want to see a therapist, it's fine. Call up someone, talk to someone, explain to someone how you're exactly feeling. It's hard to relate with people back home sometimes because they expect a lot from you. And calling to tell them that you're stressed, it, kind of belittles you, we think. It's hard to talk to the people here, too, because they're looking at you like, you should have gotten a hang of this a long time ago. But if you didn't get the proper transition, you don't get to, be able to deal with that stress fast enough.
Right.
If you're in that situation and you've just come to America and you're stressed, you can always, give one of us a call. Tell us what's going on. It's not going to be, a show thing or whatever. We can talk to you because we've been through this, because we're still going through this, because we're all stressed.
Bell, I couldn't help laughing when you mentioned that this country is very good at inflicting stress on the people who live in it. You and I understand. But I understand you're a very young person and would naturally expect to have the youths as your audience. But apparently, the topics you treat cut across and even seriously to the extent that adults are quite involved. Adults can actually identify with the topics you treat. Could you explain this? So young yet so mature on the mind.
It's funny you mentioned that because, 2 days ago I'm sitting home here and my aunt in D.C., she calls me up and she's telling me, oh, we are all gathered here watching your show. And I'm asking her, you and who? I'm thinking she's going to be like me and your little cousin. She's like, no, we had a meeting over here, and one of my friends just told us about the stress topic that we were just talking about.
Right.
And, I put it on, and everyone was so excited. Like, where did that come from? I didn't know you had that when you were over here. It, like I mentioned from the start, basically I have been the kind of person who relates a lot with people of the older age, and I relate with babies the same way. It's like, while I think of what's happening to you right now, and, if I'm trying to give you advice, I think of where you're coming from.
Right.
I think of the people that what you're going through is going to affect. So I put all those little pieces together so that, when I'm giving the advice, it's not coming from me. It's coming from, us at that time. It's coming from what you've told me. And, it's, it has to affect everyone, especially with the African culture, like I would say again. It's very, sometimes we have to affect our elders in order to be affected.
Sure.
Wow. So what has been the feedback from viewers so far? So far, I have gotten both good and bad feedback. One of my good friends, actually, he just called me up the other day, and he was telling me how, you know what, you should get a camera person, and you should get this laid out properly. You have a good message, but sometimes you just get distracted by the fact that it's just you and all that. And I have gotten a lot of tremendous feedback, too. Like my aunt calling me from D.C. to tell me how they all gathered and watching my show. That to me is exciting. It's just expected. There is wonderful, you're doing really great. We appreciate your message, and there is, maybe you should add a little bit of this to that, like maybe you should take this out, maybe you should put this in, and I appreciate that. That's what, I'm here for. If I'm going to be able to help people, they're going to have to help me help them. So it's exactly as expected.
I understand you can't run a big project like this without partners. Do you have some already? If not, are you looking forward to that?
I am looking forward to getting partners. Right now I don't have, partners here because, like I mentioned, mostly we've been putting up, like, videos that I made because I like just making videos. And I never really, thought that this was the time. For me to, I know that I always wanted to have a talk show, but I never realized that this is the time for me to do that because I always thought, maybe I'm not mature enough. Maybe I need to learn a little bit more. Maybe I need to do this. But, from the feedback I have been getting, it feels like I'm ready. It feels like the best way to get into it is to be in it. So right now I'm actually looking for partners, to start up with.
Right.
Okay. As a talk show host myself, there's certain challenges that I usually face. So I was just wondering, what kind of challenges do you face and how do you manage them?
The challenges I face right now is mostly, just getting my message out to the right people. Say, for instance, the American TV lottery winners. How many people in Africa actually have a strong enough, internet to be able to access that message and watch it? And that's who this message is really intended for, to prepare the minds of those who just got the TV lottery, for them to come over here prepared. But how many of them are going to see it? So it's left for us to see it, and then spread the message. Other challenges that I face is like, maybe random people jumping in front of me and going, how can I do that? How can I become like you? Well, sometimes, that's a little weird. That takes you a little unaware because it's like, oh, wait, you don't have to want to become me. How can you should ask me what you can do to improve on the person that you are, because I feel everybody's amazing as they are. You don't have to, look at what whoever's doing and, go, how can I become you or how can I become like you? Just strive to become a better you, because you is
the only person that you can really ever be, unless you want to be a second-hand version of someone else. And I also face challenges like, people, I don't know, randomly sending you this random, really long messages because they can access this stuff on the internet, and now they can connect to you, and they can, easily send you random stuff. But I'm dealing with that. It's easier to block the people who are just stalking and really concentrate on the people who actually are concerned about the message.
Sure.
And, it hasn't gone to that point yet where I'm facing all the fans and all that, but, yeah, we're building up to that.
Okay, Belta, we are about to run off this conversation. Briefly, just tell me, when next should we expect the next episode?
The next episode should be out by next month.
All right, next month.
I'm getting ready to go to school, yeah.
Rendezvous taken.
I just jotted down that on my notebook. So, for these potential partners, you mentioned earlier that you're looking for potential partners, right? So for those people who want to become potential partners, or for people who are dealing with stress or dealing with whatever it is they're dealing with, and they want to reach out to you, how can we reach out to you?
You can reach out to me through my email. I'm sure Ernest is going to be able to put that on his website for people to see right after this. You could reach me through my email. You could find me, Belle Bay, on Facebook. You could call me. My phone number is 612-702-9502. You could call me up anytime, and we could have a talk about that.
Definitely, people are going to reach out to you because you have so much to offer. Belta, thank you so much for stopping by and talking about the Belle Bay Show. We wish you all the best and do have a fantastic rest of the day out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Ernest and Crystal. I really appreciate this.
Crystal.
All the listeners and viewers out there.
Crystal is not going away yet. Crystal, one question before we run off this conversation. How do you find this show, which is, coming up strongly? You are also a host of an online TV show. When you look at what Belle is doing, what can you say, Crystal?
I was very impressed, actually. I remember you are the one who connected me with her, and I was like, this is a girl with my age. And when I watched her videos, I actually saw a lot of similarity with when I started, because I started my own show 3 years ago. And I was very impressed. The topics are very mature. They're very educated.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was very impressed, and I had to call her and tell her that.
Crystal, thank you so much. I'll have you again shortly, this time for the maiden edition of African Tele Review. So stay with me and do have a fantastic time over there as we keep riding on with the 56th episode of African Cocktail, coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest Kanjo. Just right ahead, we shall be moving to South Africa to meet our man Solomon Atta with South Connect. We also have Titus Banyo, who is on standby in Antwerp, Belgium, and he will be giving us updates. Then we still have lots and lots of guests coming up in this edition of the show. Joy Dominion will be talking from Maryland. Then we have Hansel Ngwane, who will be speaking from Boya, southwest region of Cameroon. And of course, lots and lots of good music and Perez Igwe is a Nollywood movie actor who will also be joining us from Houston, Texas. So, lots and lots of interesting things in this 56th episode of African Cocktail. But for now, let's water down what Belle has been saying with some good music. This one is titled Patu Prince Eyango.
This is Africa Radio, #1 radio in Columbus, Ohio. This is Africa Radio, #1 radio in Columbus, Ohio.
Tango Sumbaneno, Benji Kala Sese, Unilema, Bende Bola Dutia, Luna Mwese, Jomwe Angeji Meneno, Africa.
Batula wasedi, ndena bongo, bola masu, na isontane. Everybody man like this, swinging, do like that. Everybody be like me, swinging, sing like me. Everybody make like me, swinging, go like this. Everybody do like that, swinging, feel like me. Patou, oh, je me fais trop de soucis. Ah patou, patou, nous avons beaucoup de problèmes. Ah bas le tribalisme, ah bas la corruption et l'injustice sociale, y compris le manque de respect. Patou, oh, je me fais trop de soucis. Ah patou, patou, nous avons beaucoup de problèmes. Ah bas le tribalisme, ah bas la corruption et l'injustice sociale, y compris le manque de respect. Allez à Baboli, non pas maintenant, n'aille pas la porte. Viens à sinon les nénas, n'aille pas pop. Tu es là pour travailler, pourquoi non faire des manières? C'est la jalousie, ou c'est le complexe, ou c'est l'inconscience, partout on est uniforme. Partout, 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 Wingistanais. Partout, 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 Wingistanais. Allez à Baboli, non pas maintenant, n'aille pas la porte. Viens à sinon les nénas, n'aille pas pop. Pour t'entendre mes filles auprès des usagers, dans des hôpitaux, dans des ministères, dans des commissariats, dans tous les services publics, règne la corruption, règne le tribalisme, règne le mépris, règne la négligence.
Belle chanson de Prince Eyango sortie dans les années 80 au Cameroun. This is African Cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest Kanjo. Beautiful one day titled Patou. And that's taking the time to 7 minutes to 12. And at this point in time, we shall be moving over to Belgium. And precisely the metropolitan city of Antwerp. Antwerp, where our man Titus Bano has been gathering, happening, and has put them together to now deliver it in form of a very rich package in this 56th episode of African Cocktail. Titles, you're welcome to African Cocktail.
Yes, Ernest, good morning to our listeners in the United States of America and welcome to Belgium, where we say Goedemiddag to mean good afternoon. Ernest, it has been raining for the past 2 days out here and it has been a hindrance to those who would want to go out shopping. Away from that, the Bali Cultural Association Europe will be holding their convention in Antwerp from Friday 11th to Sunday the 13th of July in Antwerp. This will bring together the sons and daughters of Bali from all corners of Europe and America. Activities of the convention include a football match, the presentation of cultural activities, and a fundraising gala. The Okoyongpa Students Association, OPSA, is bracing up for their first ever fundraising gala. The event to take place at the Fitzzaal Atrium Antwerpen Stadium will see the participation of OPSAs from all parts of Europe. Ernest, while our sister in Germany, that's Miranda Oben, is organizing something for the future of our kids, that is out there in FN on the July 12th, here in Belgium, another powerful lady, Ms. Tekla Mbunwe, founder of Africa Beauty International, has also announced a kids talent show to take place on July 26th in Brussels. The show aims at identifying the various talents in our kids of African origin who will have a consequent promotion. The African Beauty International is an NGO based in Brussels with the aim of showcasing the beauty of Africa. Before I go, after the 7-1 whitewash of Brazil by the German Mannschaft in the ongoing World Cup, a lot is being said by football lovers out here. and arguments are already going on as to who has to carry home the coveted tournament. Ernest, there are those, even though the match between the Netherlands and Argentina has not yet been played, there are people who are already casting lots that the Netherlands is surely going to take home the trophy, while those who are supporters of the German team also say that following their last performance, it is no doubt that they will definitely carry home the trophy to Germany. Yes, Ernest, that was the bit we gathered from the rainy city of Antwerp. Except you have some questions for me.
Definitely, I have one question before you go away, Titus. You are CEO of Batimo FM, and you are also a broadcaster par excellence. Recently, you kicked off with Pepper Soup, which is a show which will henceforth be heard on this station. Pepper Soup, just the title, it would definitely prick some minds to start thinking. What is Pepper Soup all about, Titus? Could you just tell us?
Yes, Ernest, actually Pepper Soup is a program I conceived. It was actually a slot I conceived sometime around when I was still a student at the University of Buea. And on holidays, I usually go to the radio Bamenda, where I participated in a fun time show known as Taking Care Business.
Right.
There I had to conceive Pepper Soup, which actually deals with societal issues. We live in a society which is actually complex, especially the European society. Well, I have decided to bring back the that slot into a full program, adding in a lot of other things. Well, it talks about societal issues. For example, the first edition that I heard the other day was talking about some very important issues. We do realize that out here, it might be the same thing out there in the United States of America, but we have realized that out here in Belgium, when it is summer or even during the winter period, when a party is being organized, there are people who come to the party very late. For example, a birthday party meant for a child. There are people who come to the party maybe at 1 a.m. when the child must be sleeping. So what example are we setting to for our children?
Right.
And that's not the issue. We always have it at the back of our mind that time is an African thing. That is not our thing. That is the African time. What time? So we are trying to tell the world or to tell people that we have to actually respect time, because it looks like the wearing of watches is just for fancy, not actually for the use of it, because you will see a situation where somebody will be given an invitation to attend a party that kicks off at 9 a.m. and that person will be coming at 2 a.m. That example, what are we, actually doing to ourselves? So that is just one of the things that I tackled. And then we also have issues on Facebook. I know people may crucify me for this, but I don't care.
I was going to talk about that title.
You see, there are some issues where if somebody, for example, announces a sad event that somebody has died,
right,
and then somebody likes the comment, what are you liking? Are you liking that the person died? And then you see people paste a lot of funny things on Facebook, and then you have people who come on Facebook and they don't have profile pictures, they don't have any pictures, and then they expect you to accept their friendship. What are you Facebooking? Well, let me say, and the language of the program, Ernest, is the lingua franca, pidgin. Right. I don't know if there is any program in one of the radio stations out here in the diaspora holding a talk show or a program in pidgin. So I decided to use pidgin because, as I would say, as Lapiro of blessed memory would say, for we don't get tongue for go for side from Waikili. We lose the pidgin for knock the brakata. Thank you very much, Ernest. Except you have one more question, I'll be taking leave of you.
Titus, let's leave other questions for next week probably. You are an interesting broadcaster, I must confirm, Titus. Do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in Belgium.
Okay, same to you, Ernest. Bye-bye.
Okay, he's our correspondent in Antwerp, Belgium. Titus also runs Batimo FM. Like I said, when he gets on the air, then be ready to either take him seriously or you laugh. He is a broadcaster par excellence. Okay, this is African Cocktail, the 56th episode of the show. It is special because we don't have anyone sitting in throughout the program as main guests, but then we have people talking from all the four corners of the world. Remember that we are going to touch Africa. We will be going to Texas. We'll make a stopover in Maryland. Then we shall also have music coming to you from all corners of the great African continent. Let's see what we have now. Should we go back to Prince Eyango with Patoum? Probably yes. Okay, let's go.
This is Africa Radio.
What's happening on African Entertainment Television? African Tele Review brings you more on some of the most captivating African TV shows. African Tele Review, visualizing African television and radio.
Okay, African Tele Review, visualizing African television on African Cocktail. You shall be getting the maiden edition of that slot just right ahead in this edition of African Cocktail with Crystal Beauty of the Crystal Beauty Show, with whom I had the conversation with Belta and Janga of the Bell Bell Show earlier on in this edition of the show. Let's have some music, then we prepare to move down south to meet Solomon, who is either in Johannesburg or Cape Town. He sojourns the country just to make sure that we have fresh information on this show. Let's have some music. He is Josh Seba in that one titled Barekole.
Tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouge, bouger. Tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger. Tout le monde danser, danser. Tout le monde bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, bouger. Tout le monde rouler, rouler. Tout le monde bouger, bouger. Tout le monde va récoller. Si tu ne peux pas bouger, si tu ne peux pas danser, il suffit de dire ça. Et tu vas bouger, bouger, tu vas danser, danser. Oh, 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 bouger, bouger. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde rouler, rouler. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, tout le monde, monsieur, madame. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde.
What a good and fantastic voice. Quelle belle voix, Josh Seba, reclaiming sweet memories of Makosa. He's coming to you from Africa region. Of course, the show is African Cocktail. We shall be moving to South Africa just right ahead in this edition of the show. Don't go away.
Tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, tout le monde danser, danser. Bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde marié pas. Tout le monde bouger, bouger, tout le monde va récoller. Si tu ne peux pas vibrer, si tu ne peux pas ambiancer.
It's been an information-rich week in South Africa. So much has been happening in that part of the continent. And of course, just right ahead, Solomon Atta will be unleashing his package to us. Don't go away. This is African Cocktail, the 56th edition, coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest Kanjo. Beautiful music there from Josh Seba, Barekole.
Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles et Messieurs, le commandant et son équipage sont heureux de vous recevoir à bord de notre appareil à destination de l'ambiance. Décollage immédiat. Équipage, balancez, balancez.
This is Africa Radio.
Tout le monde, tapez les mains. Everybody clap your hands.
Everybody clap your hands. Tout le monde tape le main. This is Africa Radio and of course African Cocktail. 9 minutes past 12. Time for us to move down to South Africa where Solomon Atta is on the line. Solomon, welcome to African Cocktail. It's 9 past 12 here in Columbus. What is the time over there?
Hello, Ernest. Welcome to you and welcome to your listeners. It's exactly 10 minutes after 6 o'clock when the sun has just gone down here in the city of Gold. Ernest, it's a very cold and crispy Wednesday evening here in Johannesburg. But I've got some enlightening news for you, especially as Brazilians. The Brazilian fans are still licking their wounds, and I will be telling you a little bit more about that later.
I also understand, Solomon, that the Oscar case has closed. So what's going on there?
And indeed, the defense has closed its case in the Oscar Pistorius case, the murder case that he is accused of murdering his girlfriend, Rivia Steenkamp, on Valentine's Day last year. The case was, the defense came to the closure because they were unable to call any further witnesses. So this means that on the 4th of August, the defense will then hand in its head of arguments, and on the 7th of August, the state will do the same. That will bring to some closure. And I have to then hasten to say that the judge, the presiding judge, Judge Masipa, has already indicated that those heads of arguments will not be published in the media. So when that happens, on the 7th of August, we will then have some kind of finality as to the way forward. But for now, it's an agonizing 1 month wait for the accused person, Mr. Oscar Pistorius.
Solomon, I am not quite sure if I say that the fiscal year has just begun in South Africa, but what I understand is that tax experts have converged in one of the cities out there to discuss tax issues. What is going on in this sector?
And indeed, what is happening in South Africa right now, starting on the 1st of July onto the 30th of September 2014, is that every taxpayer in South Africa needs to go and hand in their tax returns. What this means is that across the board, if you are a taxpayer, if you are working or whatever you're doing, a company, you registered for VAT, which is value-added tax, you have 3 months to go into the offices of the South African Revenue Office to hand in your tax return. All the money that you will collect either for unemployment insurance fund, the skills levies fund, the fund, the money that the PAYE, which is the pay as you earn tax, on all sorts of tax. This is the official tax season for those that have to hand in their tax manually, that need to go into the revenue office and hand in their tax. It's also a very important item on the fiscal year here, because this is where government gets to get some of its money that it pays for all its projects. So the Minister of Finance goes to Parliament, that happens every February, and says to everyone that, and tells the world that our budget for this year is an X amount. This is where they get most of that money, if not all of it. And so those that have to do a manual filing have to have gone in between the 1st of July and they have until the 30th of September to do so. But if you're filing online, which means you can submit your tax return at a company level or as an individual or as an organization, you can do it online until the 1st of January 2015.
Solomon, we are getting some very unpalatable news coming from South Africa that animals are starving and dying on farms in the northwest region of that country. And we hear this has preoccupied some 3 NCOP chairpersons. What is this all about, Solomon?
And indeed, it is true. The National Council of Provinces chairperson, which is some kind of an upper house of parliament in South Africa, the national chairperson of that chambers, has been in her farm. She has a farm that has animals in terms of goats, cattle, and chicken and all sorts, which have been going through a hard time because I don't know what happened. But what we hear in the media is that there are animals dying, and the anti-animal cruelty had to obtain a court order in order to go and remove those animals to take them into proper care. In this country, and I should tell you and the listeners, animal cruelty is a very serious offense. And so because this individual is a very high-profile politician and a leader in the country, it has kind of embroiled the African National Congress, because she is also a member of the African National Congress. So as such,
Okay, looks like we have lost our correspondent Solomon Atta there, who was reporting there from South Africa. We'll definitely come back to him. Okay, it's 12:15. Let's see if Solomon is back on the line. Solomon, sorry, we lost you, but apparently you are back.
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead, Solomon.
Okay, so these animals were forcefully removed by the Animal Anti-Cruelty League, which went onto her farm last week to remove some of the animals. And Ernest, the pictures that we saw on television were quite graphic in terms of some of the animals already very weak and some had already died. So that has kind of embroiled the African National Congress into coming to her defense and saying that, well, she is a farmer, she could equally make any mistakes, and those sort of things were likely to happen to any kind of a farmer. But what has happened is that the country is not buying. They're saying that someone of her caliber should be able to understand a little bit of the in and out of having an animal farm. Ernest?
Solomon, we also hear that some teenage boys have lost their lives because of circumcision. This is not very good news coming from that end. Could you throw more light on this, Solomon?
Indeed, Ernest, is a very, this is a season whereby teenage boys, especially in the Xhosa tradition, in the Xhosa community in South Africa, go to obtain or to go through the rite of passage. What this means is that teenage boys, when they are born, in this culture, they are not circumcised. They are only circumcised at a later stage in their life, when they are beginning from the age when they are teenagers. So in this country, at the moment, some of the boys who went to go through the rite of passage, because it's a very important factor, important element in their life, becoming a man or going through the rite of passage to become a man in the community, they had to be circumcised through traditional means. And this is not fortunate news for some of the parents whose teenage boys have died. And the death toll has risen. As at yesterday, we had 24 deaths, which is an alarming number. In fact, one is one too many. So it's a very sad day for some of the parents whose kids have not been able to return from the mountain, as it were.
24 deaths is really, really alarming, and we must say it's not very good news coming there from South Africa. We hope that authorities are going to get into this and make sure that the situation is redressed. Solomon, thank you so much. But before you go away, what is the weather out there? In Columbus, Ohio, it's sunny, sunshine, warm temperatures. It's a bright day here.
And then, before I get into the weather, I have to tell you that the weather is particularly cold, especially for Brazilian soccer fans.
I can imagine.
The humiliation that they faced or they received from the hands, or should I say from the legs of the Germans, going down 2 goals to 1 have left them reeling. And the weather that is particularly cold today, as it was yesterday and will be until 2 days, in fact, it's becoming worse for the Brazilian fans. But if you're a German fan, I'm sure it is a hot day. Generally, it is cold conditions here in Johannesburg, but we've been asked to keep warm and to stay indoors because it's getting quite crispy. And on that note, Ernest, next week I will be putting together a report for you on the most competitive places and countries to do business in Africa, because Africa, the top 10 countries that are emerging, or the top 10 countries that are experiencing growth this year are in Africa. So, in fact, next year you'll have a wonderful economic package from Johannesburg. And this is Solomon Atta for Southside Connect, only on African Cocktail in the City of Gold in Johannesburg.
We can't wait to have that very handsome economic package which Solomon has promised for next week. His name is Solomon Atta, our correspondent in South Africa. Solomon, thank you so much, and we wish you a very best time out there in Johannesburg. Thank you once again, and we hope to have you next week. Okay, this is African Cocktail, 20 minutes past 12. We still have many stopovers. We shall be making a stop over in Douala, Cameroon, where one of our correspondents will be telling us what has been going on in Central Africa. Then we shall also go to Houston, Texas, to meet Nollywood actor Perez Igbe, and of course to Maryland, where Joy Dominion, up-and-coming actress, nominee of AfriFimo Awards, is on standby. So much in this edition of the show. Now let's have some music, then we'll be right back. Also coming up in this edition of African Cocktail, Kenneth Ngabne, call him Ken Shalimonet, tells us about his upcoming production.
Africa Radio.
Okay, from Great Speaker, we move to Joma So in that beautiful one titled Lolita. It's still a late 90s production. Okay, you're listening to African Cocktail. Just right ahead, we shall be moving to Maryland to meet young up-and-coming actress. Her name is Joy Dominion. Don't just go away. She'll be right here to tell us her own story. Okay, acting runs in the family. Her elder sister is an actress. Her name is Naomi Dominion. Then they have a mother who calls the shots behind the camera. I'm told that she used to be a model as well. She's also a fine actress. Okay, so we shall be getting one of them. I'm talking about that family that has talented young people. Her name is Joy Dominion. Joy Dominion is an actress based in Maryland. She's just been nominated for the Afri Fimo Awards. And of course, she is here to tell us her own story in this edition of African Cocktail. And so, in our actor's profile, in this edition of African Cocktail, we are receiving this young but talented actress, to whom I say, welcome to the show. Joy, you're welcome to African Cocktail.
Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing?
I'm all right. And you?
I'm doing great.
That's good. So how is Maryland today?
Oh, it's very sunny, good weather, enjoying the time here.
I have had the opportunity to receive Naomi Dominion on this show a couple of times, and I'm very pleased and glad to find out that you are one of her siblings, and I'm told that you are also well-rooted in acting. Am I right?
Yes, you are. And yes, I'm actually the third. Naomi's the first child, then it's my brother, then it's me. So yes, I'm into acting and also music as well.
Music? Oh, I'm just learning that now. We shall have time to talk about your music as well, Joy. But for today, let us talk about your career as an up-and-coming actress. For how long have you been in this art?
Well, basically since I was 2 years old. Well, besides acting, I've done dance, music, theater. I've just been well-rounded as an artist in general, which is what I love to think of myself as. So, yes, basically since I was 2, I started an acting career.
Right. And I mentioned earlier on that Naomi Dominion, who is your elder sister, is also a talented actress. And
yes.
Let me find out from you, before you got into acting, were you kind of looking up to your elder sister and being inspired by her, or you just got into it from your own angle?
Well, I would say yes, she has a lot of influence on me when it comes to my acting career, because she is an amazing actress. She's also a producer, she's a writer, so I was very inspired by my sister to get into the field, and also by my mother, because my mother started acting since the 1980s. So I was very inspired by my sister, by my mother, and, just a whole bunch of people in my family that are in the performing arts.
Right. So you're one of the leading actresses in Deep Within, produced by Naomi Dominion and directed by Abigail Dominion. Tell us more about your role in this movie and what you think your performance in it was.
Well, I can't give too much of the story away because it's still coming out. But basically, I played the character Imani, and my character was a very, very emotional woman who had been through abuse. She has been through so much, and she had to overcome that. You know, like she was basically leaving one relationship, going into a new one. She had to learn how to adjust to it and learn that not all men are the same. So it was a very, very strong character and something that I prepared so much for. So yeah.
Wow. Okay, that is interesting. So you also feature in an upcoming comedy movie called Palonka. One would hardly imagine that you would play a role in a comedy movie when we look at you physically. It doesn't mean that you are comfortable doing every role in a movie.
Well, Palonka, yeah, so it was a comedy. I actually enjoy comedy more than drama or action. So it wasn't really so much of a challenge for me because naturally I'm actually a funny person. Like people who know me know that I'm really fun to be around. I love jokes. I love comedy. So it was something that was really enjoyable for me. And I for any role I can take up pretty much any character because like I said, I study very hard before I get into a role, before I accept the character, or before, I start a project. I will investigate, I'll research, and I will try my best to make sure they don't see me on that camera, that they see the character.
Right. So, which other movies have you featured in, and which of these do you think have been the most challenging?
Well, I have been acting for a while, but for full feature movie, my first full feature movie was actually One Night in Vegas, produced by Kobe Maxwell. Then the next one I did was All Things, directed by John Uche. Then, I went on to do Deep Within. Then I've done Palonka, and there's still many more projects that I am working on currently. But yeah, so I would say the most challenging one I actually did was Deep Within. Right. Deep Within was a very challenging movie, powerful storyline that, I had to do.
Right. Joy, you were recently nominated in the Best Upcoming Actress category at the Afri Fimo Awards, which will be taking place in October. First, what was your immediate reaction when news of this nomination got to you, and how have you been feeling since then?
Well, when I first got the news of the nomination, I was so excited. I was so grateful because I'm so up and coming, and I was just so happy to be recognized for all the hard work that I've been doing, all the effort I've put in. It just made me feel great and, made me appreciate it and know that there's people that actually do appreciate talent and appreciate good work. And it's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling.
Right. So what have people been telling you, your friends, producers, directors? What have they been saying?
Well, I've been having so much good feedback. People are so happy for me that, I was recognized because, those around me, those I've worked with know the type of time and effort and, struggle I put into what I do. So a lot of people have been calling to congratulate me and, they're so happy for me. So I just thank God.
I understand that every nomination or every award won is very important to an artist. So why would you think that people should vote for you, Joy?
Well, I think people should vote for me because I represent not only me, but I represent every upcoming actress, every upcoming star that has a vision, that wants to pursue a vision. I represent people who, never allow anyone to kill their dream. So people should vote for me because I want to see others succeed, and I believe that, as I succeed and as I go forward, we all go forward because I carry all my community with me. I carry my people with me, and I will never, ever let my fans down. So people should definitely vote for me.
And so if they choose to do so, what must they do to have you voted?
Well, actually, voting closed June 30th. The public voting closed June 30th. But now we're just there's the panel, the board of judges that are deliberating and going through that. So I'm actually waiting. I'm so anxious to see, you know, who won and who's runner-up. And even if I don't win this award, or I do win this award, I'm still just so grateful to be recognized and, you know, to have been nominated for such an amazing award. I'm just grateful.
Humility there from actress Joy Dominion. Joy, thank you so much for joining us on African Cocktail this day. Before you go away, any last word for movie lovers, your fans, and people who will eventually be watching your films?
Well, I just want to say thank you, first of all, to everyone who has been supporting me from around the world, my people in Nigeria, Cameroon, everywhere in the world. I've just been getting so much support, you know, so much good feedback, and I just want to thank you. And I also want to encourage anyone, you know, especially young females that have a dream of becoming the next big actress or the next big musician or whatever is your passion, to never give up hope and to fight, you know, to make sure that you make it. Never let anyone bring you down, and always put your trust in God, and you will get there. So that's my words to everyone.
Never let anyone bring you down. Put your trust in God, and you will be there. The words of actress Joy Dominion, who joined us in this edition of African Cocktail. Joy, thank you so much. Do have a fantastic rest of the day out in Maryland.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, this is African Cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest, Kanjo, the edition of Wednesday, July the 9th, 2014. It's exactly 22 minutes to 1. And of course, we are still riding on. Still to come, actor Perez Igwe, Nollywood actor based in Houston, Texas, will be telling us his own part of the story. Then we have one of our correspondents in Douala, Cameroon, who shall be updating us on happenings in that part of Africa and, of course, that part of the world. But then, African Tele Review is up next.
What's happening on African Entertainment Television? African Tele Review brings you more on some of the most captivating African TV shows. African Tele Review, visualizing African television and radio.
Okay, African Tele Review, reviewing African Entertainment Television on African Cocktail. So, we shall be getting into that slot in a couple of moments. But time for us to listen to this, then we'll be right back. We are moving from Cameroon to the Democratic Republic of Congo. We want to promise our young listeners that we shall have some contemporary music before the end of this edition of African Cocktail. His name is Jiben Piana, and that one is titled Walai.
Chuna Junior na du blanc, Alain Goto, Blanchard Pondani, Mama na SP.
Daniko natunia balobi osi obimaki natika kisango moko kaka ya bolingo oyo mwana nzambe atikelaki biso tolingana natika kilisusu sola parfait na nga na bamira quartier na bino po boyeba enalekaki ye tu vois comment je t'aime est-ce que yo pe olingaka nga je t'aime, Malingia, Namotema, oh. Bébé Mokeo, Mère Malou. Je t'aime, Malingia, Namotema. Mina kupenda sana, tuya mapendo.
Moro Michoko, Papi Chakolombo.
La kisaka ya sala, linginga daniko. Na remarque, linga kanga au fond du cœur jamais. Osepela kananga. Danse, pona forme, et puis oyo kaka na kende ke mikili de temps en temps. Soki bango te o jire papa.
This is Africa Radio. This is Africa Radio.
Fidèle de Castro.
A special good evening to all my friends in Bukavu, that is in the DRC. I'm also thinking of those listening to me in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo. You listening there to Jibe Piana in that beautiful one titled Walai.
Tu vois comment Gigi Dani tu vois comment ma gloire tu vois comment Nicole Boula Mao Pécho tu vois comment Mamicho Chamaliroy tu vois comment Mukenge Jissé tu vois comment Martin Likombe Olangwisi Ngabolingo je t'aime Nalingi yo mingi mingi yo
Nananina, Jean-Luc Moukoko de Vita. Nanani, Mama Presnata, oh Meramida. Alain Destil, Anderson et Indi, Shango. Coco, Namotema, Moyen Dedi. Julien Gagap, Naka Koufara, Bonaya. Basalali, Namakita, oh Boyama, Souvé. Basalali, Namakita, Jojo Mouya, Absan Lukusa. Basalali, Namakita, Olivier Dumou.
This is Africa Radio.
Lokombe Edo.
Beautiful Ndombolo piece there coming to you from Africa Radio. In a couple of seconds, we shall be moving to Houston, Texas, where Nollywood actor Perez Igbe will be right here with us to tell us about his career. Then we shall also have Shiri Achu talking from London, and of course our correspondent in Cameroon, who will be calling us from Douala to tell us about what has been happening in Central Africa. Okay, this is Africa Radio, and of course the show is African Cocktail. We are going to switch the roles a little bit. We're not going to have the Nollywood actor from Houston right away, because we have to go to Central Africa, and precisely in Cameroon. And in Cameroon, we are in the city of Douala. Douala, where one of our correspondents, Ifana Kwalar, is joining us now to tell us about what has been happening in that part of Africa and, of course, that part of the world. So, it's exactly 12:47 here. I would imagine it's 6:47 p.m. out there in Douala, Cameroon. Ifana is going to confirm. Good afternoon, good evening, Ifana, and welcome to African Cocktail.
Good morning, Ernest. Good morning, listeners of the show in the United States. Good afternoon to those in Africa. It is 5:48 p.m. in Douala. Welcome to Central Africa and precisely Cameroon's economic capital, Douala, from where I am reporting. Ernest, it's a sunny day. After 3 days of serious rainfall, we have a sunny day today in the city of Douala. And it is the rush hour where most of the people are retiring home, and it is a very, very tedious day. It's usually rush hour at this time and with a lot of traffic congestion, but that's the way it is here in Douala. When you talk traffic, you talk Douala.
When you talk traffic, you talk Douala. I can imagine, Ifana. So, talking about coping with the life out there, Ifana, I understand Cameroonians are gradually accepting the new hikes in fuel prices that introduce another bitter experience in the jobs of transporters out there. But we hear the disappointment of transporters has rather been a blessing to government workers and the military whose salaries have been increased. I would imagine there are smiles on faces out there, Ifana.
Yeah, Ernest, I can say smile on some faces. Maybe yes, but for some faces, there's no smile. But the news is like you said that Cameroonians, as from next month, the civil servants will observe a change in their paychecks. The decision is coming from the country's top executive officer, and from the date of the signature of the presidential decree to that effect, the monthly base salary of government workers and the military is raised to 5%. This decision came after the government announced that it was ending subsidies on petrol, diesel, and cooking gas, and raising prices of these basic commodities. This did not go down well with the entire population and led to transporters threatening to kick against the move by a civil strike. The said action was halted. According to the report, transporters are trying to put things together with the government that we don't know. But what makes things worse over here, Ernest, is because I went yesterday to buy bananas that normally they sell 4 for 100 francs in Douala. Now it's 2 for 100 francs. And when I asked why, they told me it's the fuel prices. I don't know the link between the fuel and the bananas. And coming back to salary increment, I must say it has been the talk of the country since the announcement was made for obvious reasons. The voicing of any increase in wages is a big news, and at least before economists and even the layman start analyzing. While the ordinary Cameroonian who is directly concerned,
we're having some technical problems there with our correspondent out there in Douala. Ifana, are you still with us? Okay, she will definitely get back to us. This is African Cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio with Ernest Kanjo, 10 minutes to 1. And we were listening there to our correspondent in Douala, Ifana Kwalar, who was telling us about the recent salary increase which Cameroonian government workers are now experiencing. And we hear is auguring well to some people and to others. Looks like there are still complaints. Well, she's going to give us details on that. Let's have some music, then we'll be back with Ifana.
Get up and dance. Okaido City d'Angola, mal à l'aise. Et baby.
Okay, we are not going to listen to that one by Fali Ipupa in its entirety because our reporter in Douala is back on the airwaves. Ifana, if you are there, welcome back.
Thank you, Ernest. We're talking about salary increment, I must say it has been the talk of the country since the announcement was made for obvious reasons. The voicing of any increase in wages is big news, at least before economists and even the layman start analyzing. While the ordinary Cameroonian who is not directly concerned thinks it is a palatable story for the government worker, some civil servants have said the increase is so insignificant to a vexing level. A worker who normally earns 150,000 francs has barely 5,000 francs CFA added to his pay, and with the anticipated rise of basic commodities, we wonder what 5,000 francs can actually do in a town like Douala. And on the other hand, workers in the private sector want to know where they belong to this whole thing. Speaking to one factory worker in Douala, the middle-aged auto engineer told African Cocktail that he hardly recalls when he last had a few CFA francs added to his paycheck, even when they of the private sector seem to be the people doing the highest work. Such arguments and the viewpoints have characterized the scene since the fuel increase. And you know, many of the people, especially those in the private sector, say, "Baboon the work, monkey the chop."
That's a nice one, Ifana. Baboon the work, monkey the chop. Okay. We hope the situation would normalize, and if workers of the informal sector could also benefit from salary increments, that would be great for Cameroon. And talking about great things happening, we understand some young Cameroonians of the entertainment domain have gone beyond just serving their country with entertainment products. They have opted to get fully involved in community development as well. Ifana, that is the case with Yaoundé-based Kanjo Baba and Bamenda-based Takong Delvis and Enna John Scott, whom we hear are making great impacts in the lives of some people living in local communities out there in Cameroon. Ifana, could you throw more light on that?
Definitely, Ernest. You know, now in Cameroon, we are saying we are drifting from entertainment to education, and or what Kanjo Baba calls it, he says is edutainment. And one thing that celebrities have embraced, which has put society at ease to describe them as a blessing, is the positive attitude of giving back. Fortunately, those in the entertainment domain have made this practice not only as part of their lives, but as part of their careers. And so the next thing that comes to mind after acquiring financial wealth is how to make people and communities comfortable. Even when most of these celebrities have not received quite much from their communities, the urge to give and better people's life has kept them going. This phenomenon is now rife in Cameroon. Within the country's entertainment family, many young people are making their voices heard, not only through beautiful melodies or appealing movies, scene dialogues, but through community development initiatives in several domains, including health, education, and culture. 3 of those young Cameroonian entertainers who have opted to assist communities in their struggle to grow, like you said, Ernest, are filmmaker Pendo Jodzika, fondly known as Kanjo Baba, Takong Delvis alias Takong de Melzo, and Enna John Scott. Through individual efforts, these filmmakers have initiated heartwarming community-centered projects that have created impact on all its beneficiaries. Since 2005, therefore, potable water has been running from taps of some selected communities in Cameroon that had hitherto been struggling with dry fruits. This is thanks to Life and Water Development Group, a non-governmental organization. The Yaoundé-based filmmaker has been coordinating. With the financial and material assistance of international partners such as First Relief International, Diego Foundation, and Guinness Cameroon, Life and Water Development Group and its partners have already put smile on 12 communities in Cameroon. The beneficiary communities include Nkof 1, Nkof 2, Kwarngan, Mbokam, Kenzo, Mbonso, Sabongari, Ntembeng, Sombe, Defang, Nkolnija, Plateau, Guinness, Douala, and 25 primary schools in the country. Kanjo Babato African Cocktail, that his organization embarks on two main community water supply approaches. The sun filter approach, which is the provision of water filters to homes and the piping distribution systems done by way of gravity borehole drilling. Kanjo also explains that prior to every execution, a health team conducts sensitization on hygiene and sanitation. On how communities that benefit from this water initiative, the coordinator of Life and Water Development Group explained that announcements are made via media requesting project proposal. The projects are selected and accepted with regards to urgent needs and challenges. Once picked, Kanjo told us his organization and partners visit the community and train people who do not only assist in setting up the structures, but who form management committees to ensure the sustainable use of the water. Once Kanjo is settled on his mind that clean water is flowing in any given community, he has to be, the filmmaker can now pick his camera and head to the field and start shooting more films, what he knows how to do best.
Definitely what Kanjo knows how to do best. So, if and while Kanjo's largesse flows with the water he is providing to the communities you just mentioned there, Takon Delvis and Energon Squad have been warming the hearts of epilepsy victims, and both filmmakers say they are poised to make epilepsy cries a thing of the past. So we hear Ifana.
Yeah, that's true. And as we got to know about this humanitarian initiative through a heartbreaking documentary Takong Delvis and Energon Scott produced last year. And now the project has grown into an organization which from all indications is poised to contain epilepsy and give hope to its victims. Right. According to the filmmakers, epilepsy has to be given similar attention like other diseases. Yet patients must be accepted as part of the society rather than stigmatized as has been the case in the past. For some time now, both filmmakers have been communing with victims of the disease to find out how they live, where they live, how society reacts to their situations, and the possible ways of improving their conditions. The filmmakers have sourced information on the experience of victims, which has been compiled into film and print packages published on the Cameroon Epilepsy Foundation website. The filmmakers are known to be so emotionally passionate about this humanitarian cause, to an extent where they would burst into tears during film production in this topic. For one thing, people are lauding this initiative and saying that we are in the epoch where filmmaking should go beyond entertainment. It should have a development connotation that can create a great impact on society. It is the hope of Takong Delvis and Energon Scott that society, through their lens, will understand that victims of epilepsy and communities affected will be supported and loved. And as listeners of the show, that's all we gathered from this end, and hoping to bring you more from this very wonderful country, Africa in miniature, Cameroon.
Wonderful country, Africa in miniature, Cameroon. Cameroon, from where Ifana has been reporting. Ifana, thank you so much. And if we learned one thing from your package out there, it is that entertainers should go beyond just entertaining people. They should also get their fallbacks into productive initiatives, just like Kanjo, Energon Squad, and Takong Delvis are doing. It is called giving back. Ifana, thank you so much. Hope you are settling on a bowl of bar and jamsu. I miss bar and jamsu, Ifana.
I'm Kati too.
Kati. Well, if there was a way you could ship some to me here, I would be happy.
I will try and do that.
Ifana, have a beautiful rest of the day out there in Douala, Cameroon. We hope to have you again next week. Okay, a splendid day there for our reporter Ifana. Then, a very rich package from Central Africa, precisely in Cameroon, and of course the city of Douala, situated at the banks of the River Wuri. African cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio. With Ernest, Kanjo, let's have some music. We are gradually but steadily moving to the end of this very, very rich edition of the show. Let's have some good music, then we'll be right back.
Mananga, Nicole Ikote, Momo Poupessa Junior Excellé, qui j'avais copé, il y a Adida qui est serrant. Jansi Mayas, Amigo Tingi, Dieno Panaroube, Sek Didi Sinzoni. Chico Sebayaka, Maître Yvon Leboya, Thierry Mafuta.
This is Africa Radio.
The music guru from the Democratic Republic of Congo, who is resident in Belgium. His name is Fally Ipupa. Fally Ipupa used to be one of the dancers and of course singers of the Quartier Latin music band run by the legendary Koffi Olomide. Today, Fally has gone solo and of course he has made great strides. He is one of Africa's top ranking artists. African Cocktail is coming to you from Africa Radio, 4 minutes past 1. Very soon we shall be making a stop over in Houston, Texas. And of course, if everything goes as planned, we shall also be visiting London, where artist and painter Shiri Achu is getting set for tomorrow's opening of the Rhythm of Life exhibition. This is African Cocktail. Don't go away.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news for you as your nutrition specialist. I recommend you eat fresh farm produce that will give you and your family good health, energy, and vitality. I suggest you shop for all your family food products at A Life African Market. Yes, A Life African Market. They sell the best farm produce that will help you and your family live a healthy and energetic life. Shop for all your food products like fufu, yam, rice, meat, chicken, plantain, cassava, and many more. Located at 4384 Cleveland Avenue. Again, 4384 Cleveland Avenue. A Life. Eat fresh, spend less.
When we stretch our tentacles and touch the entire African continent with information, we also do that musically speaking. We are now in Botswana and the artist is called Ketla. Alright, listen to this beautiful Southern African music. Savo in. Just right ahead, we shall be getting into our African tele review slot. Okay, 6 minutes past 1, time for us to visit our TV channels and see what they have for us. So, African Tele Review is our own way of looking into what Africans put on television for African audience as far as entertainment is concerned. There are lots and lots of those shows dished out there, built into African homes, but then we really don't know how some of these shows are constituted, who presents them, where they are aired, and that is the task Crystal Beauty has taken upon herself to let viewers, listeners of this show, know more about African entertainment shows found on African TV. Okay, let's go.
What's happening on African entertainment television? African Tele Review brings you more on some of the most captivating African TV shows. African Tele Review, visualizing African television and radio.
Okay, African Tele Review, visualizing African entertainment shows on Africa Radio. And so, Crystal Beauty set to find out about some of these very captivating African TV shows, and her first stopover was Moments with Mo. For those of you listening to me in Central and West Africa, Moments with Mo is no longer news. It is a widely viewed show in these sub-regions of Africa. So captivating, if you watch it once, you would always want to watch it again and again. But how is this show constituted? Who runs it? And just what can attract you to watch Moments with Mo is what Crystal Beauty has in this maiden edition of African Tele Review.
What's happening on African entertainment television? African Tele Review brings you more on some of the most captivating African TV shows. African Tele Review, visualizing African television on African Cocktail.
Good morning, Ernest. Good morning, listeners of African Cocktail. Welcome to the Massachusetts chief city, Boston, where we shall henceforth be reviewing some of the shows people love to watch on African television. In this first phase of the slot, we shall be presenting, describing some of those shows, and eventually start reviewing some of their popular, almost liked episodes, to put it in simple terms. Ernest, I'm not sure you are quick to forget the anxiety that characterized African views some 6 to 7 years back when Moments with Mo hit the screens in African homes, mostly beamed by the popular South African entertainment channel African Magic. For Africans who have not had the opportunity to view the show, Moments with Mo is a big TV show hosted by Nigerian-born Mo Abudu and produced under the banner of Inspire Africa. Inspire Africa is an organization that runs projects aimed at highlighting the positive aspects of African. Moments with Mo, as one of the projects, tells Africans' real story, which is completely different from the impression of the continent being a harbor for war, disease, crime, hunger, and what have you. Moments with Mo offers a platform for Africans of all walks of life, not only to recount their successes, but to showcase their talents and skills for which they are known. From filmmakers to movie actors, musicians, comedians, craftsmen, religious personalities, engineers, sports icons, legal and medical practitioners, civil society organizers, and what have you. Perhaps the most exciting thing about Moments with Mo is the nature of the show itself. Its telegenic host, Mo, is a fine and intelligent speaker who would dance with a dancer guest, sing with a singer guest, laugh with a comedian, catwalk with a model, and display other skills. With live audience that is usually very active, Moments with Mo easily caught great attention and is still savored with a lot of appetite. It can be watched on African Magic on Sundays at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time in countries in Central and West Africa.
what's happening on African entertainment television. African Tele Review brings you more on some of the most captivating African TV shows. African Tele Review, visualizing African television on the African cocktail.
Okay, African Tele Review. So on radio, we can also watch TV. Okay, she said Moments with Mo is a show to watch. Okay, I agree with her because I'm also a fan of that show. Lots and lots of great things happening on the African continent. You can't imagine. You need to watch some of these shows. You will attest with me that Africa is a great continent. Thank you so much, Crystal B2. We hope to have you again next week for yet another episode of African Tele Review. Okay, 12 minutes past 1. We still hope to have Shiri Achu telling us about the Rhythm of Life exhibition that begins in London tomorrow. We shall possibly go to Boya, Cameroon to have Hansel Ngwane, and of course we shall end up in Minnesota, where Kenneth Ngamne will be telling us about his upcoming movie projects. Let's see what we have then. We'll be right back with you. We are back in Botswana with this beautiful Southern African piece.
This is Africa Radio. This is Africa Radio.
Yeah.
are still in the southern region of Africa, and we're listening there to this one titled Chala. It's by Jika Kappa. We are in Botswana. Beautiful music, indigenous in nature, soul-searching, captivating. That is Africa, the beautiful continent. The continent that makes you a man, makes you a woman. I'm talking about some of the illustrious people Africa has been able to produce and serve the world with. We have Kenneth Ngamne, call him Ken Shali-Monet, who is a filmmaker, he is a writer, he is an actor, and of course he's an intellectual because he's very resourceful when it comes to giving his analysis of events, of concepts, whatever you think of. Kenneth Ngamne is a resource person on this show. Whenever we have him on the air, then it means that something is in the air. I will say that. So, Kenneth is on the line. Kenneth, welcome to this edition of the show.
Thank you once more, Mr. Ernest, for having me.
I think it's a long time since we had you, Kenneth.
Definitely, it's been a long time. Well, the show was a little bit in a recess, and during that time, we all had to sit back and try to put things together so we should come out very strongly and powerful.
Exactly.
But definitely know that as one of the resource person, as a listener, and most of my fans, they miss the show a lot, and they are definitely happy that we are back on air again, and I'm happy too.
Right. And so, Kenneth, before we went away, we had a big show here on the World Cup and, of course, Africa's participation, which ended up being very dismal. Since then, we haven't had time to talk about that. Could we just jump back into it for a few minutes before we talk about other important things? So, Kenneth, I used to drown in the stupor of this disappointment which the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon and, of course, other African teams got you into.
Well, definitely I am, but like as I was making the joke yesterday on Facebook, which most of my friends read, and I think you read it too. I'm like, okay, Brazil has saved us. Now they have carried our shame, so we're trying to put behind what they'll hit the multiple lions. Anyway, that was just for comic, but definitely, our performance was not the best, but from what we are all seeing, the World Cup this year there was a lot of surprise, and this already brings out the fact that those countries which hold themselves, like saying that when it comes to soccer, we only have to think about them. Brazil, Cameroon, Italy, England, Spain, that time has passed. We have different countries coming up, and they are coming up very strongly. So soccer right now is extremely more competitive, and I like it this way because I'm seeing a whole lot of competition among the teams that participated for the soccer jamboree this year, and definitely it's making it more interesting.
I'm going to prick you on something again. Though France did not qualify for the semi-finals of the competition, but I think the French side put up an interesting show, and some Africans were quick to say that it was the handiwork of those African boys who make up the French team. So they are like saying that this thing is still about Africa.
Well, but definitely it's about Africa. Like, again, I did my post on Facebook as usual, and I made it very clear, and everybody knows it's very glaring. It's not something I did. I call France the United States of Africa. I call them the United States of Africa because if you look at it critically, they are the African guys. So when they qualified for the quarterfinals, a lot of people were saying that, no African team qualified. I'm like, what the heck are you people talking about? We have the United States of Africa representing us. So we got to the quarterfinals. That is how I still call it. And it is obvious. It's not like I'm hating or anything, but France depends on Africa for everything in life, even on their economy and their economy financially and everything. It comes from Africa. Africa is 80% what France is today. So there is no doubt about it.
I describe that as the sunny side of that very gloomy World Cup participation for Africa. Now, Kenneth, while we're on recess, we had filmmakers Kang Quintos and Eliane Mambo premiering one of the most talked about Cameroonian movies, at least in recent months. I'm talking about AK. I know you didn't make it to Maryland for the second premiere of that movie, but looks like you were in Minnesota. So how was it, and what can you say about this other new Cameroonian movie that is making news?
It was a wonderful reception, my brother, and I will not lie to you. Words are not enough to tell Quintus and Ellen Mambo kudos for a job well done. It is a wonderful movie. It is a very great movie with a lot of story behind it. And when that movie premiered here in Minnesota, I mean, it was awesome. People loved it. People loved the acting, not only the acting, but the story, the message that they have behind the movie. In as much as there were some gruesome scenes, which we talked about because, our kids, they are also interested in our movies. And there were some scenes in the movie which were inappropriate for the age of the kids who were present there at the hall. But in the whole general concept of it, everybody was happy, and even up to this moment, Minnesotans are talking about it. I happen to be the host of that movie here in Minnesota, and definitely I'm proud of these guys, and I'll just tell them they should keep up the good work.
Victimize, that seems to be the next shot we're going to have, Kenneth. So what is this new movie all about? And we hear you are getting set to move over to Maryland to start the first phase of production of this upcoming movie.
Definitely. Victimize is coming out very strongly. Just like the wave that the storm created is the same wave that Victimize is created, and it created and even more. It's a very, very great story. And almost everybody who have gone through the script, like my cast and crew members, the first thing they call me and tell me is, reading the script is like they're already watching the movie. So that is how intense and that is how tight the movie is. And I'll be in Maryland, like you say. I'll be in Maryland by 12:45 p.m. My plane will touch ground at the Baltimore airport and the BWI airport, and on the 15th, which is Tuesday, we'll start shooting, and we are booked to shoot from the 15th until the 29th of July. So we have 2 weeks of shooting, and hopefully by God's grace, we are going to round off that. But definitely, I know there will be no problem rounding off that because we have our great cameraman, Mr. Chinedu Christopher Okonkwo, who is going to hold it, and then I have my able director who is coming all the way from Houston, Mr. Ephraim Ijoma, and we got very, I mean, the selection that we did this time for this movie is extremely, extremely powerful. I decided to go where this movie is going to be produced by Espoir Productions, and the president of Espoir Production is none other than our brother, Mr. Matthew Atungo, and I'm his vice, and so it's a very, very powerful selection. We have the A-list characters coming in. I was even lucky to get in touch with the producer of Deep Sea Diving, Mr. John Gaffer, and his wife, who are also going to take part in the movie. So it's a movie that have a lot of stakeholders. You have a lot of A-list actors and actresses, and definitely I know that within that 2 weeks, we're going to do the job that you all expect us to do.
Kenneth, we will definitely be infringing into this production, interrupting from time to time to have some of the people taking part talk to us. So we hope whenever we knock at your doors, you open them for us.
Oh, definitely. I'll definitely do that, Mr. Ernest. I'll keep in touch. My Facebook page will be open for any information. We'll keep in touch. We'll be listening to African Radio and following all the updates. And if you need to talk to any of my cast and crew members while we are on set, you will definitely have the opportunity, and they will all definitely be happy to give you a rundown on how the shooting is going.
Kenneth, we wish you all the best, and we know that whenever you are involved in whatever thing, it turns out to be successful. So do have a fantastic time, and we hope to have you again on the show, most probably next week.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ernest. Once more, continue with what you're doing, and hopefully next week we'll be talking.
Okay. His name is Kenneth Ngamne. He's a resource person on this show. He is also a filmmaker, quite talented and always ready to inform, and that's one positive aspect about our main resource person. He communicates. Communication is power, and we've always said that. Okay, this is African Cocktail. We are going to run off in London because Shiri Achu will be with us in just a couple of seconds, and the show is gradually coming to an end. Let's listen to this, then we'll be right back.
I notice you. I notice you, baby.
And this is fresh from the editing suite. Her name is Gasha, and that one is titled I Notice. Gasha is an up-and-coming contemporary Cameroonian artist, and of course, she is winning more and more admiration. So certain voice.
Baby boo, hot, oh I do, I notice you. And I know you stare at me like after I'm asleep. Smile, bring my favorite all so sweet kisses, baby I do, I notice you. I notice you, baby I do, I notice you.
And so, in just a couple of hours, it will be the official kickoff of Rhythm of Life. Rhythm of Life is an art exhibition by our own very Shiri Achu, renowned Cameroonian artist and painter. She has moved from 35 in print to yet another exhibition, which she's going to tell us more about just now. Shiri Achu is on the line to London. You're welcome to the show, Shiri.
Thank you very much. Hello everybody. Thank you.
So, after 35 in print, you are back with another exhibition dubbed Rhythm of Life. So, what is Rhythm of Life all about?
The rhythm of life is what we all go through in our various lives. It's got the exhibition has three sections to it. It is the walking with the rhythm of a life, which is the everyday mundane. It's the dancing to the rhythm of life, which is the more celebratory. And then there's a leap when you're taking a faith and you're stepping up and hopefully doing bigger things, which is a leap for the rhythm of life. And these three sections have, I'm using some of my previous pieces for the walk and the dance, but the leap for the rhythm of life, I have done some new pieces of works to showcase for this exhibition.
Right.
I'm really apprehensive to know how people would see it, because it's quite different from what I normally do.
Right. So why did you choose this collection of works this particular time of the year? Is there any relation between this time and the works you are going to display?
It actually has the actual works it's a two-part. It's how it came about. I was invited to showcase at this place, and I used it as a perfect opportunity to. I'm going through a personal transition as well in my life, so it's perfect timing to be able to showcase these particular pieces as well as do the new ones for this particular period of my life as well. So it's just been perfectly timed.
Okay, Shiri, what makes these works special, and why do you think people need to see, buy, and of course keep them?
Well, my work generally is trying to express and promote and show how beautiful the Africa culture is. So in that respect, I like people to, and also, for those who don't know the African culture, it's trying to educate them, for them to know more about the African culture. For those who know and not in Africa, it's for them to have the fond memories back, and for others, like the newer pieces that I'm doing is more modern. So if you want something modern, these new pieces are about they're using the African symbols in a more abstract, more modern way. So it's trying to educate through the various different symbols that we have in Africa, in the west of Africa. We have the Andigua. There's so many different symbols which, before our time they were using to communicate.
Right.
I'm trying to use those symbols. As we know in our cloths, in African prints, there's various symbols that are very meaningful. We have the Togo, the Ngong. There are various different symbols that mean so much. I'm trying to, in this selection of works that I've done, trying to educate people on those symbols. So that's, I think that's making this particular exhibition and a series of works quite special. And yes, well, hopefully people like them enough to obviously want to keep them and buy them and treasure them. Yes.
Right. So apparently this exhibition will run for a whole month. What are you going to have as activities?
They thankfully are an organization and they deal with a lot of everything that's going to happen. So they send out a lot of invitations. They do a lot of things. I basically just go and present my work, and I have them take care of it for me, so to speak. So it's not like my 35 in print where I had to do a lot of work and invite a lot of people myself. This is taken care of for me, where they will send it out, and but tomorrow is the main opening. There's going to be music as well as exhibition. There will be poetry, open mic section. So it's going to be very fun tomorrow. And on the 27th again, there's going to be a little something that I'm trying to do there. Thankfully, I have to say that I didn't have to do so much in terms of my involvement in the participation in the promotion has not been. They take care of it for me.
So, who are you expecting to this exhibition?
I am expecting a lot of people. Granted, I have not actually had the time to send it out to all my normal sort of clientele. But we're still expecting a lot of people. No, it's mainly their people, to be very honest. Right. Mainly, I will send out some of to my clientele, but it's generally it will be artists, there'll be writers, there'll be art lovers, there'll be a bunch of very interesting, creative people.
So, Rhythm of Life opens tomorrow, Shiri. How prepared are you and the team? Are you guys set?
We are almost set. There's just a few little things that we have to do, but yes, we're almost set. Some key things. Work is actually, the works have actually been up, it's just apart from the few pieces that remain. It's looking good. Yes, it should be really good. And I'm really excited that it's going to be there for the whole month. And up to the 3rd of August, so people can go, whenever, however they want to see it, if they cannot make it tomorrow.
Okay,
very excited.
Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this great exhibition that will take place in London. Before you go away, could you just remind us of the date, the time, and how people can get to you if they're interested to be part of this exhibition?
Right. It's so the Rhythm of Life. It's going to be exhibited at the Windmill, which is 57 Cricklewood Broadway, and that's NW2 3JX. And you can always reach me personally via Facebook, which is Shiri Achu Art, via Twitter, and by email. Again, it's shiri@shiriachuart.com. So you can, if you have any questions, or you can always email me, or you can contact them directly at the Windmill, 57 Cricklewood Broadway, and it's on to the 3rd of August, 2014.
Okay, Shiri, thank you so much. We'll probably come back to you at the end of Rhythm of Life to find out what would have transpired. Do have a fantastic rest of the day out there in London.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shiri. Her name is Shiri Achu. She is a renowned artist and painter who hails from Cameroon. She lives in London. And, of course, she's been doing quite some good works out there. Okay, and that's how we are running off this edition of African Cocktail. And so that's how we put a full stop to this 56th episode of African Cocktail that came to you from Africa Radio this day, July the 9th, 2014. It was a big and dynamic team that kept you company this day. African Kitchen Manager, Suzanne A. Belgium correspondent, Titus Banyo, Germany correspondent, Maxel Ajik, South Africa correspondent, Solomon Atta of South Connect, African Tele Review, Crystal Beauty of the Crystal Beauty Show, resource person number 1, Kenneth Ngamne, resource person number 2, Suleiman Koyate, resource person number 3, Matthew Ayong, content critique, The White Bokuri, production collaboration, Crystal Beauty. Guest in this edition of the show, we had Miranda Oben, who spoke to us from Essen, Germany. We had Belta Anjanga, who was speaking from Minnesota, United States of America. We had Joy Dominion from Maryland. We also had Shiri Achu, who spoke from London. Then Cameroon correspondent Ifana Kwala, African Cocktail Online promo banner, Bo Boateng, collaboration Big Joe, Ambrati Coffee, Big Bo, Awal Mohammed, DJ Cash, Damilola, Jari, Mayo Makinde, Saran, KK, coordination Nana Ampem, Charles, Bafo, and of course we had lots and lots of people whose names have not mentioned but who collaborated to make this 56th episode of African Cocktail a great success. My name is Ernest Kanjo, regular host of the show, asking you to join me again next week for yet another edition of African Cocktail coming to you from Africa Radio. And until we meet next Wednesday, it is bye bye, ciao, au revoir, merci, I'm gone. See you then. To God be the glory.
This is Africa Radio. This is Africa Radio, number 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news for you as your nutrition specialist. I recommend you eat fresh farm produce that will give you and your family good health, energy, and vitality. I suggest you shop for all your family food products at A Life African Market. Yes, A Life African Market. They sell the best farm produce that will help you and your family live a healthy and energetic life. Shop for all your food products like fufu, yam, rice, meat, chicken, plantain, cassava, and many more. Located at 4384 Cleveland Avenue. Again, 4384 Cleveland Avenue. A Life. Eat fresh, spend less. Ladies and gentlemen, I have good news for you as your nutrition specialist. I recommend you eat fresh farm produce that will give you and your family good health, energy, and vitality. I sell energy 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 and vitality.